My parents, my husband, and I had talked of visiting Northern Ireland for the past several years. As a graduate student of the American School of Genealogy, Heraldry, and Documentary Sciences, I was gaining confidence in multiple research strategies and experienced incredible success in finding vital ancestral documents. So with careful planning, we knew the time was right to return to the land of our Irish progenitors during the 2013 Irish Gathering year, full of festivals and genealogical opportunities. We flew into Dublin Airport with great anticipation and excitement for whom and what we would discover. After settling into our cottage and exploring our beautiful surroundings, we jumped into our rental car with ancestral documents in tow. We headed to Enniskillen, home to the beautiful and famous 13th century castle. Our first stop and contact was at the town hall with historian and genealogist Frank Roof. We explained that through our family collection of 200-year-old letters, we knew our Hamilton ancestors' names, residences, and the year they immigrated to the U.S. Frank, who quickly became our hero, conducted some research with us and helped us find 3 more children we had no idea belonged to our Hamilton family, along with their christening dates and places of birth. We also found the death date of the family matriarch Elizabeth, a date that had eluded us until now. Feeling elated, we then walked to the top of Enniskillen's Main Street and entered the Church of Ireland, the place we have evidence that our ancestors were married. We then headed to Enniskillen Library, where we met with historian Robina Elliott, who found for us many books on nearby Irvinstown, the last place our Hamiltons had resided before immigrating to the U.S. As we left the library 2 hours later, we had a much better picture of the circumstances under which the Hamiltons were suffering and why they so badly wanted to go to America. Next, we drove to Irvinstown and met with a man named Henry Keyes, keeper of the Methodist Church records. After searching the archives and sharing information with Henry from our family letters, we discovered that his ancestors and our ancestors had been friends and that many of their names were mentioned in our letter collection. Henry then drove with us to Moneyquay, a townland of Irvinstown, and one of the places we know our Hamiltons lived. There, a cottage still stood from the time our ancestors would have resided in the area. We then drove to a nearby cemetery where most of the headstones were unreadable, but a likely place the matriarch of the family was buried. Sorrowfully, Elizabeth Allen died just the year before the family was able to immigrate to the U.S. A couple of days later, we drove to Mount Charles of County Donegal on Ireland's northwestern coast and met with a distant cousin, Helen Montgomery. My brilliant mother had made contact with her after placing an ad in a local paper. We were stunned and astonished when Helen knew exactly where our ancestors were buried and drove us straight to the seaside cemetery. As this distant cousin led us to the gravesites of our relatives, we felt connected to our Montgomery ancestors as we finally stood where they rested in such beautiful surroundings. Helen next surprised us again by driving us to the gates of the vacant estate where our Montgomery family lived in the 1700s. Prior to our trip, we were unable to find any evidence that this estate still existed. We were thrilled when Helen gave us her blessing to climb the wall and explore to our heart's content. We were not going to leave my 77-year-old mother behind, so we helped her get over the wall and shared in the estate's investigation together. We were in awe as we explored the old gardens, which at some time must have been lush and well cared for. We discovered the carriage house and the stables, the servants' quarters, and the beautiful old manor called the Hall, as we actually walked in the footsteps of my 4 times great-grandfather. Returning to the town of Donegal, my family and I next met with distant cousin Philip Montgomery, who shared with us a pedigree chart showing exactly where our family members fit into the Montgomery line. Until this time, we'd been unable to make the connection. We were delighted. The next day, as planned, We moved from our cottage near Enniskillen out to Belfast on the northwestern coast of Ireland to continue our family research. We spent a few days combing through old books, documents, and microfilms at the People's Records of Northern Ireland. We made yet again another fantastic discovery as we found 2 more children belonging to our Hamilton family. As well, we spent a couple of days exhausting the resources at the Linen Library of Belfast, another valuable source of genealogical information. To finish off our trip, we drove a few miles north to Carrickfergus, where our Allen family came from. During our visit to the enormous Carrickfergus Castle, we found a historical booklet which held a picture of nearby Castle Dobbs, which is the location our evidence shows that our Allen family resided. We then went searching for Castle Dobbs and received a tip from a local, which directed us straight to the site. It was amazing. I climbed a wall, even in a skirt, to get to the only entrance, so I could check out the ancient structure and explore the interior. You've got to see this. No?
No. I can't.
Leg.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
Made it.
Oh, very nice.
Well, at the end of our 2-week adventure in Ireland, we became so endeared to the people and felt like we were leaving home as we ended our journey. We will always remember the marvelous people and places we connected with and hope to return again one day. Thank you, Ireland, for allowing us to join in the gathering of 2013.